Italians like the following things: coffee, wine, pasta, and cigarettes.
A modern podcast where Chris and Mike talk about TV, movies, superheroes, and everything in between. It's time for Superhero Slate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And this week, we talk the Inhuman release details. That sounds bad when you say it like that. Fox has new release dates for some movies.
Okay, all right.
The CW is dominating with the Dominator invasion.
Okay.
And more.
Yeah.
So welcome back, Mike. Welcome back. Yeah. You went to Italy? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Italy. Yes, I went to Italy. We visited a small handful of cities in the northern part of the country, specifically Milan, Venice, Bologna, Florence, and Monterosso. Or Monterossa, I don't remember. But it was really cool. It was a cool vacation. I feel really rejuvenated after coming back, which would seem contrary, because you would think like, oh, a vacation, you're doing lots of traveling, you're on planes for very many hours, but like I felt like, not going to work and like not really having any responsibilities necessarily for 10 days worked out really well. So I feel very clear-minded, very excited to get back to the podcast. But yeah, I had a lot of time to watch airplane movies while I was on the plane.
How long is that flight?
Well, we had a layover. I'm not 100% sure if there are direct flights, but if there was a direct flight from Los Angeles to Milan, it would probably be about 12 hours. We had a 10-hour flight to London, and then another 2-hour flight. So
you were on a plane for 10 hours.
Yes, it was. Luckily, it was Virgin Airlines. This was the first time we've ever flown. I think the first time we've ever flown Virgin, but if it wasn't, it's definitely the first time we've ever flown in one of their big, really nice, high-profile planes. They have these really awesome touchscreens with videos and stuff in front of you on the headrest, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but like, sometimes you come across like these places that install touchscreens on things. They're always just really crappy, like touchscreens. I think these were like legitimately running like Android software, and like the touchscreen was actually really responsive. You didn't have to like jab your finger at it to pick a movie. All right. So that was really nice. But I think probably the best movie I watched, I think I watched honestly 10 movies. I watched a lot of them to kill, that total of 20 hours on those flights. The best one was definitely 10 Cloverfield Lane. I had held off on watching that one for a really long time because I knew it was good, but unfortunately, like from the trailers and kind of just knowing the context of the world that it lives in, I kind of knew how the movie was going to play out. But even knowing how the movie plays out, I still loved it. It was amazing and it was fascinating, and I was captivated just on this little screen in front of me on a plane. So,
well, that's good. So you watched it on the screen, so you didn't bring it, you rented it or bought it, or they had it offered to you?
It was just free. They had like a nice little selection of maybe like 30 movies, and there was like some TV shows in there too that you could watch. Okay. So, and then the most disappointing one was either going to be Keanu or Tarzan. So the only reason I watched mainly these movies is because I was on a plane, so I didn't have a choice. But I watched Tarzan mainly because we talked about it earlier in the year, or I guess at the end of the summer, where it made a bunch of money. So I was like, oh, it made a lot of money, so maybe it was good. I fell asleep towards the last part of it. I don't know if that's just because I waited longer into my flight to watch it. And then Keanu just, unfortunately, wasn't that funny. Okay. Like, it just felt kind of disappointing coming from Key and Peele, who are really funny dudes. But I guess that would be the most relevant part of my trip that relates to the podcast. But I did leave it a Superhero Slate sticker. Yeah,
you did. Bologna. You did graffiti Italy, and he sent me a picture of this. So
yeah, I was being very respectful to the country. If we have any Italian listeners, I left it on an area in Bologna, which is kind of their university area. And tidbit here: the University of Bologna was founded in like 1088. It's like literally the first university like on the planet. Like, so it's like the university number one. Nothing's older than this university when it compares to other universities. But they had like this little alleyway that had like these like areas where you could post up flyers and stuff. So I was just like, oh, I'll just put the sticker on there. So it's not like I slapped it on like the side of a building or something like that. So
he put it on the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and that's why it's all weighted over now.
Yeah, exactly. I put it on the other side to balance it, so now it's just the tower.
We're doing our part.
Special about it anymore. Yeah. So I would love to know if anybody is listening to the podcast right now in Bologna because they saw that sticker. I would be surprised and shocked, but if you did, let us know and I'll definitely give you a shout out.
Yeah.
But
please do.
Yeah. But overall, it was a great vacation. Much needed. It's very, very interesting going to Europe. First time I've ever been to Europe, so I got to see kind of a different perspective on like I guess on a country that I guess the originators of like democracy almost of like modern government. So it was cool. I would definitely recommend Italy to anybody.
Cool. So my question for you is mostly because I'm a fat kid at heart. What's your favorite dish that you had there? If you could say now, when I say I want to eat Italian food, most people think Olive Garden, and we all know that's not really Italian food. So, what true Italian cuisine would you recommend if you could pick one?
I think my favorite was on our very first night in Venice. We went to this restaurant and I ordered the carbonara. Now, if you're not familiar with what carbonara is, it's basically like a pasta. I've seen it served with different styles of pasta, but I think the traditional way is like it's a spaghetti type of noodle. And they take that and they make your sauce with a combination of like egg and like raw egg, and then I think it's olive oil maybe in there to thin it out a little bit, and then they put bacon in there too. It's really, really good. It sounds kind of strange describing it, but it's a pretty classic dish. It's very, very delicious, and the egg makes a very rich sauce, and you could definitely find it on menus out here in the U.S. It's not some sort of obscure Italian dish or anything, but if you get a chance to try some carbonara, definitely go for that. Really, really good.
Well, there we go. Now you guys know when you go to Italy, try the carbonara, if you will.
Now you guys know.
And for a 10-hour flight, we have over 100 hours of superhero Slate that you could listen to, if you want to go back and see how wrong we were all those years ago. But
yeah, you know it.
But while you were in Italy, you missed some of the most American of traditions and holidays. You missed Thanksgiving and Black Friday.
Yeah, I know.
And on those days, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, dropped us a Thanksgiving trailer.
Is this your segue into the news?
This is my segue into the news.
Oh, well, just before we do that, real quick.
Oh, okay. I jumped the gun.
I just wanted to go ahead and thank Luke for coming into the podcast last week and replacing me for the week. It was really, really nice of him to do and joining the podcast. So I just wanted to give him some credit where credit was due. It's always really nice when people want to step up to the plate. And also I can thank you because you're the one that kind of is steering the ship over here. And that's always looking out for these replacements because it always seems to be the one that I'm gone and out of nowhere. Usually when you are out of the picture for a week, we just turn it into an excuse to take a vacation and not do the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm glad to have I'm glad people who listen, want to be a part of this stuff. And I think, if we were a little bigger or had a little more going on, I think we would be more than welcome to have extra guests on, but anytime we can keep it going, I'm excited for it, especially as we close in on episode 100 in like 2 weeks, Mike.
So, yeah, we're getting there.
Triple digits. I never thought we'd get that far, to be honest. I'm like, we'll find some reason not to.
Your lack of faith disturbs me.
Oh, whatever. So, but your Star Wars reference is very appropriate because Rogue One, a Star Wars story, gave us the final trailer on Thanksgiving Day. And Mike, don't watch it. but there's one very important reason I wanted to talk about this trailer. Mm-hmm. Because with this trailer, that means on Monday, tickets go on sale.
Yes, that is tomorrow from the day we're recording this podcast. If you listen to this the official day that the podcast comes out, which is Mondays, you might be able to get them right now. This was actually a concern in the back of my head while we were on vacation. Every once in a while, pop culture would pop back up into my head because that's one thing that is always going on up there. And I was like, oh man, what if those Star Wars tickets are on sale right now? Now, I don't think these are going to go as quickly and feverishly as Episode 7 tickets did. I don't know if any websites are going to be breaking. But I think these tickets definitely will go pretty quickly. So if you want decent seats on on a Thursday night that it comes out, I think you want to look out and get them on Monday.
Yeah, that's very true. I have actually, over Thanksgiving, I talked Star Wars with a couple of family members, and they were like, I don't know where this fits in to the Star Wars universe. And I get it. It's cool. I mean, you don't study it and look at it like I get, but for me, I mean, I'm really excited to see, some prequels, some, we know Darth Vader's coming, some new characters and new stories, and I'm excited to buy tickets. I think I have to buy 4 tickets. I think I've been tasked with buying other tickets for people attending with me tomorrow.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're prepared. And also, when you're talking about to where this fits in, I think, to a very casual Star Wars fan who would want to go see this movie, they might not even necessarily remember that the Death Star plans were stolen even to begin with. They can kind of recount some of the key moments that happened in A New Hope, but they might not remember all that. They're just like, oh yeah, they just got together and went and destroyed it. They they don't really know that there was an intricate little part that happened to get that. So like I said, I don't think this thing's gonna blow ticket sales out of the water, pre-advanced tickets, but yeah, you'll want to jump on it for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And if you get a chance to, reserve your seating, do it. That's my favorite thing. I'm gonna get my IMAX tickets, and I'm really cool. I'm cool with that because I don't think. I mean, maybe a lot of tickets are gonna be sold because of what comes with it, and that's the trailers. Spider-Man: Homecoming, the first trailer will be arriving with Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I think 3 weeks? 3 weeks from Friday. So
man, I was really, really stoked to hear that news, just because it's always really exciting when we get first glimpses at things, first trailers, especially if something to the caliber of a Spider-Man movie finally coming over to Marvel and being its own property, but kind of equal separation between Sony. So it's hard to say how that's going to work out, but the trailer, I was excited about that. Now I'm curious, with the reports of saying that it's coming with Rogue One, does that mean the first time the trailer is going to premiere is literally in the theater, or are we going to actually get the trailer like on a Tuesday or afternoon or something like that?
My guess, this will be the first theatrical presentation will be with Rogue One, and we will have it online beforehand, because why would you not put that online?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for people who may not want to go see Star Wars right away. Holidays are, The Force Awakens proved that you can put up a movie in December and make money, but you just never know. There's a lot of good movies come out. I saw Moana this weekend. I think that's going to be up there for a couple weeks. So I think so. Spider-Man: Homecoming, I think there's another 1 or 2 coming with it, and I can't figure out what they were, but I know Rogue One is going to have a lot of new trailers for properties.
I mean, in a perfect world, they would love to be able to have the trailer premiere in front of another movie, and then the next day drop the trailer so everyone can see it who didn't go out on Thursday night. But people are going to cam it. People are going to get it out there some way or another. So yeah, so we'll probably be seeing that a couple days ahead of the release of Rogue One. But I'm excited to be getting Spider-Man footage. That's super cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it for the first time. And even though we don't have a full Guardians of the Galaxy trailer yet, just the teaser trailer, I mean, it's just showing how big 2017 is shaping up to be for superhero movies, and especially Marvel on the whole. Because you missed it last week, all my excitement, my hype for the Marvel's Inhumans kind of was there, and I've been talking about it all week with everyone I can get a chance to listen to, what I'm saying. And Inhumans, I'm so excited because we got more information coming for this. So its release date is September 4th in theaters, so Labor Day 2017. That means we're looking at 8-9 months away before that comes out. Or I guess 9 or 10 months away before that comes out. It's going to be in 1,000+ theaters in 74 countries, and IMAX is actually paying for the first 2 episodes.
Oh wow!
So this is more of a an ABC, a Marvel, an IMAX, and I think there's a fourth something. I think maybe Disney or something, or ABC, Marvel, Disney, and IMAX are all teaming up to make this show happen. And that's huge because the first 2 episodes are filmed entirely with IMAX cameras, much like Infinity War is going to be. And they're actually filming specific fight scenes for other episodes in those IMAX cameras as well, like action scenes.
Man, this is just really strange. So I haven't really had a chance to respond to the news since I was out last week. So we're getting an Inhumans TV show. Now, is there any sort of reports or anything of this replacing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or is this going to possibly be on another night?
Nope, there is nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. as far as we know, and except that this is not a spin-off of S.H.I.E.L.D., meaning Quake and Coulson won't be like, oh, we found these other Inhumans on the moon kind of thing. So that's about as far as I got with S.H.I.E.L.D. I think one of the goals might be to get maybe some eyes on S.H.I.E.L.D., but right now, S.H.I.E.L.D's really focused on Ghost Rider and not the Inhumans so much. So I don't know what the relation to S.H.I.E.L.D. is. Maybe they just wanted to, we've got some money, we've got some people interested in the Inhumans. They also keep saying that this is not replacing the movie, surprisingly.
I mean, that's
they keep on saying that. I don't know what's going to happen, but...
Yeah, well, because that's kind of what I thought maybe most of the hype of this announcement was for, is if, they're going to go ahead and double down on Inhumans TV-wise, I figured we would be getting, big royal family names like Black Bolt, like he would be the main headliner of the TV show. So it makes me think... If they do end up using them and kind of, I guess, blowing the Inhuman load on television, to be as graphic as possible, it just seems weird that later down the line there would be an Inhumans movie.
Well, I agree with you until I thought, well, there are other Inhumans that are very popular right now. An example would be Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. Huge in the comic books right now. Very, very, very popular. She's one of the Avengers even recently in the comics. And she's an Inhuman. So maybe when they use the word Inhumans for the movies, maybe they've kind of adapted, or they've changed their plan. The Royals can have this TV series. We want to move with Miss Marvel going forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about a little bit of news later in this episode. That's, I think, going to shed some light on this. But it sounds like that they are really, really concentrating on the Inhumans role in the Marvel Universe and really to make up for the fact that they don't have mutants and maybe won't be getting mutants anytime soon. So that's kind of what I'm getting from all of this Inhumans news. Just because, they got to put a lot of work into what Inhumans are, because normal people just don't know what they are.
This is very true. And I think 2 years of S.H.I.E.L.D. still haven't really broken a lot of ground yet. And one thing that a lot of people have expressed concern about, but maybe not so much for me, is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. VFX coordinator is not on the Inhuman series as of right now.
Okay, but
I think that's okay, because he's a TV guy, and this is more of a mini-series event, kind of like, I guess, Game of Thrones would be, or even a popular show. I enjoy Westworld. So I think maybe they've got more of a bigger role, maybe someone who's used to television, or not television, but movies in larger scope.
I think these VFX coordinators are going to be a lot more important in the television universe going forward, just because people want to tell these bigger, more elaborate stories. We're going to talk about the CW crossover event here in a little bit, and there's definitely going to be a lot of VFX shots in that. And from what I saw on there, they look like they might be pretty up to snuff when it comes to putting VFX on TV. So maybe they're going to bring in some big guns for this Marvel Inhumans role.
Yeah. We'll knock on wood. Like I said, we don't know much about casting or much else, but I just know September 4th, for I think 2 weeks, I will be watching this movie as much as I can. So and before the series comes out, which also may lead, if we have Inhumans on the show, maybe they could show up in Marvel's of Infinity War if they're introducing them a little sooner. That's a little hope on my behalf, but who knows. But there was some concept art released earlier this week, and people thought it was showing, this is official Marvel concept art, showing the embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. I dig it. I don't really understand the context of the concept art. It looks like it's bound in some sort of book, so it doesn't look like it's some sort of like scratch drawing or something that was just digitally done. Someone went to the effort of printing it. But I like what I'm seeing. It's pretty ominous.
Yeah, very much.
I think that like works.
Got a Day of the Dead kind of feel to the face there. However, this has been on to confirm that this is not Death, but this is a Doctor Strange design for one of the Zealots they did not use. I mean, I could see this being the embodiment of Death in Marvel anyway, maybe reusing it if they wanted to. But if they end up showing Death in Infinity War, because that's what Thanos really wants, who knows what it's going to look like, but they usually make their designs look pretty good. I haven't had a complaint with how they've had people look so far.
Yeah, they have some really amazing concept artists working for Marvel. I follow quite a few of them on Instagram, and they can definitely pretty much just pluck anything out of their brain and put it on paper and make it look awesome. So, yeah, maybe they'll come back around to that Zealot drawing, because I think that would work pretty well. It has that kind of a feminine look, which kind of fits with Death.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Marvel has a bunch of artists at their whim to say, hey, draw us up something. No, not at all. But speaking of Doctor Strange, we got some news on the box office numbers, some updates there. Real quick, it has passed over $600 million, making it the highest grossing solo character film for Marvel.
Wow, so that is impressive.
Iron Man was the first, and then this was number one until Doctor Strange did. Went ahead and passed him right on up there. So.
Wow, I think it's a combination of Benedict Cumberbatch definitely helped them hit the ground running with a character that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Also a combination of it being a Marvel movie. I mean, the Marvel brand now has a very big pedigree when it comes to the people just going to see. We've been watching the new Gilmore Girls that's been reunion that's on Netflix, and there's even a joke about the Marvel movies in the very first episode of that. So Marvel is definitely in the zeitgeist where it's showing up in the Gilmore Girls dialogue. So, and then also I think word of mouth helped the movie a lot too. I mean, everyone loved the visuals and how responsive they were to them, and then people love talking about it. So yeah, it definitely made sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any issue with it, and I mean, the IMAX ticket sales really got to help it, because that's what I push whenever anyone asks me what to watch Doctor Strange. I'm like, gotta see it in IMAX. Can't go back to the small screen once you see those awesome visuals and that big scope. So congratulations, Doctor Strange. We'll keep you guys posted as the year closes out, but with Star Wars and a Pixar, or I guess a Disney Pixar film, I don't know if it was Pixar, maybe just Disney, closing out the year, it's got I don't think it's gonna get much higher. Speaking of Marvel things, people I guess enjoy, I don't know, there's no good way to segue in this. Marvel versus Capcom. Have you played the game before?
I have played it before, but I'm definitely not some sort of savant with the game.
Okay, I'm not either. I'm not a big competitive player. I think I have the second and third one on my Xbox somewhere. But I mean, this is, I don't get into fighting games, but because I mostly don't care for the Capcom side of it, But there is possibly an announcement of the fourth entry in this franchise next week at a PlayStation event, and we've got a couple teasers here. One showing some characters. I see Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, Iron Fist, Doctor Strange. Those are new characters I think they might be adding to the series, because you can tell it's got a different art style in the back, and then just the big number 4. So
yeah, I mean, I've always dug the art style in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. So it always looks really cool. It kind of seems more old school, or kind of like perpetually 90s or something like that, which I really dig. It's starting to seem like a very one-sided relationship, though, of where maybe when the very first Marvel vs. Capcom game came out, they might have been on an even playing field when it came to intellectual property, but Marvel just blows Capcom out of the water now. I can't remember the last time Capcom was really like a big deal. Like, yeah, they make they make Mega Man, right? Isn't that kind of their main claim to fame?
I think
Mega Man and Street Fighter.
Mega Man, Street Fighter. Street Fighter is still big for some reason. I think one of the first games they actually made was X-Men versus Street Fighter, which is what kicked off this whole thing. Ironically.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know how many. I think X-Men are still in them, but as Marvel's not using X-Men in too many of the games, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
What the
Marvel vs. Capcom is like a game that I would be terrified to play online, because I feel like 99% of the people that play the game are just like really into it, and like the other 1% are the people that like bought it because it was on sale and they're like, oh, this looks fun. So very intimidating.
Yeah. So I mean, I see Mega Man and Street Fighter and Dead Rising and the Resident Evil. So they have a couple properties in there, but yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I probably won't get it right out the gate, but people who like fighting games and Marvel vs. Capcom could really get into it. So we'll let you know. We'll tell you next week if it comes out or not, or if they announce it. Did you get any Black Friday deals while you were in Italy, Mike?
No, I mean, I think they might do some sort of Black Friday shopping, but I wasn't in any sort of shopping area. No, I've successfully avoided all of that.
Well, good. Congratulations. I did as well. I didn't do any Black Friday shopping. I did take a advantage of a few online deals, such as the Batman Arkham games for Xbox One. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, $30 for the set of HD games. So, $15 a game for games I enjoy. Great. But there is a new video game. This is a leak Batman video game in the vein of this, based on Damian Wayne, the son of Bruce Wayne, who is the current Robin in the comic books in production.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I feel like Damian Wayne is definitely really popular right now, I guess, in the comic book side of things. He seems to be. I know it's not something I'm reading, but it definitely pops up on the internet a lot, screenshots from his comic book. So I guess they have a pretty good writer over there who's handling Damian. So it makes sense that maybe he'd be getting his own game.
Yeah, and they had a couple Robins in the other ones, like a Nightwing and then another Robin, and I think they even had like the Red Hood Robin for the last one. But the studio who made this one has actually made the Batman Arkham Origins game, which I think had a Deathstroke in it, or Deadshot, one of the two. So it's not the main company, and we don't know what their next project is. Some people said a Superman game, but a Damian Wayne game, Batman game, sure, I'll give it a try. I like the other ones, so
yeah, why not? Yeah. We ain't complaining over here at Superhero Slate.
No, not at all. And for people who think we hate DC, you're wrong. We like their video games. And we got some news on the DC extended universe front, which is what they call their movies. The John Cleese might be joining the DC films.
All right.
And there's a rumor that sometimes they come to be true. I think the Joe Manganiello rumor we talked about, where he followed somebody at DC and on Twitter, and that ended up leading people to how he joined the movies, that John Cleese was followed by, like, I think Zack Snyder and somebody else who does like the Batman stuff, and now he's following them back on Twitter this week. Sometimes I don't get like why following certain people on Twitter leads to these rumors, but you know what? So be it. It works out a couple times, so maybe. Well, we
know he's not going to be any sort of like powerhouse hitting hero. I mean, he's an old gentleman now, so maybe the role of Alfred's already filled, so maybe John Cleese will end up being a voice of something. I don't know.
He does do great voices, and he's getting up there in age, and they can record his voice now and not have to worry about him in other films. I think I had a GPS, a TomTom with his voice for directions once. So, but it can't be Alfred. So who knows what he could be. So if you guys have any ideas who John Cleese can be in the DC movies, let us know, because we are drawing straws here and getting nothing. However, the CW is leading up to their big 4-show crossover this week, Mike. Starting tomorrow, Monday, maybe the day you're listening to this, 4 nights in a row of a big crossover dealing with these villains called the Dominators.
Yeah, this is a pretty big deal. I watched this trailer just before we started recording the podcast, and I was pretty impressed, I guess, with the scope, at least, of what they're going to be doing over these 4 episodes. I think that everybody who listens to the show knows by now that we aren't really keeping up with Supergirl. I'm kind of keeping Arrow at an arm's length just because I've had a bad previous season with Arrow. We are watching The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow seems to be kind of come as you are, or go as you come. I don't know. We watch it sparingly, but it seems like they're bringing it all together for this pretty crazy event.
Yes. So the teaser, I enjoy it. I really enjoy the teaser. I just have one complaint, and it's the scene where the heroes are running at the Dominators, these big yellow alien-looking creatures that are kind of creepy looking. It appears to be on a helipad that looks a lot like the airport scene in Civil War at the end of it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You want to imitate good things, so we'll see how it plays off, because I will probably watch all 4 shows this week, Mike. I will watch Supergirl on Monday. I will have to catch up on some 2 episodes of The Flash to watch The Flash on Tuesday. Arrow on Wednesday is its 100th episode as well during this crossover. Do you think that's ironic?
No, I think it's convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. I hear they're bringing back a lot of people. I think Deathstroke, Laurel Lance, a bunch of other things. So they're bringing a lot of people back for this 100th episode. So if you're an Arrow fan, you might like that. And lastly, Legends of Tomorrow is, I guess, the end of this. I guess where they stop having these Dominators try to take over the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Have these Dominators showed up anywhere yet, or is this going to be the first time we even hear about them this week?
I think this is the first time we've heard about them. I've not seen or heard of them in any other episodes before this.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. In the trailer, they had a short glimpse of some CG shots of these aliens, and they look pretty decent. I'm always impressed when CG can impress me on television. So yeah, I'll be watching these for sure. I'll have to remember that I have to start with Supergirl.
Yes. Thankfully, there's the CW app you can watch them on with commercials, but for free. So if you don't get to them live, there's always that. Fun fact, also, Todd McFarlane interpreted the characters. I think he's the one who drew them for the first time.
Awesome.
So if you're a big fan of him, everyone knows he did Venom and the SpiderMan stuff, and I think Spawn as well. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on this next week. I mean, I'm going to try to watch them before next week and get through all of them. And I'm really curious to see how they bring Supergirl into the CW universe, because they've kind of left that out for a while. Is what I've seen. Lastly, on the CW part, did you know Legends of Tomorrow is moving to Tuesdays, Mike?
Oh, okay.
This was a note from last week, and I wanted to bring it up with you. What do you think? It'll be Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow right after The Flash, and then Arrow.
I mean, honestly, it seems like an attempt to give Legends of Tomorrow more audience. I mean, The Flash is their best show, and usually what happens if you're moving a show, it's because it's not doing well, and if you're putting it after a really good show, so it seems like maybe Legends of Tomorrow needs to get a little bit more growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did add 4 episodes, and the more I think about it, I think maybe that's a finale. They added 4 episodes to wrap it up, Well,
I think that's fine. The idea always seemed like something that wouldn't last for 7 seasons. It seemed like something that would just be here or there.
Yeah. So, do you think they need to fill that 4th day with another superhero show?
I don't know. I mean, they were shooting for 5 days in a row there at one point, so we'll have to see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. I was curious your thoughts on that. So, there you go. Did you get a chance to see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them yet?
No, I did not get a chance to see it over there in Italy. Obviously, we're going to see it because my wife is a huge, gigantic Harry Potter fan. She actually bought a copy of the first Harry Potter book in Italy just because she just wanted it in a different language because she thought it'd be cool. And that's how big of a fan she is. So we will definitely be watching it, and hopefully I can give some opinions about it next week. But yeah, I was kind of curious what you thought about it. Obviously, no spoilers. But Positive experience?
Yeah, I did. I did have a good experience with it. I think it follows the growth of the Harry Potter films in terms of like this is a more adult film than a kids film. They don't really spend a whole lot of time explaining the magic parts of it, which they spent like 8 films doing that part of it. And the other one. So if you watch the other Harry Potter films, you're ready to jump into this one. No questions asked. The world felt good. It felt like 1920s. They leave a lot up to the imagination, and that's fine. But overall, positive experience. So I hope we have a spoiler cast incoming. I did break that to my wife finally this week. I'm like, look, you're gonna have to be on the show with us to talk about this. So I mean, hopefully we can get one of these on our schedule before too late.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll try to shoot for Sunday. I think now since we've missed the inaugural weekend of the movie, we don't necessarily have to jump on it, but maybe we can shoot for next week to get the wives behind the microphones, and we can just basically ask them Harry Potter questions, some deep lore questions, because they'll have the answers.
We'll interview them essentially on the show.
Yeah, get deep into the lore.
That's right. So there we go. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. If we do a spoiler cast, well, stay tuned and we'll let you know when it happens. Subscribe and you'll get it automatically. You don't even have to worry about it. So the Fox's universe is moving on. The new Mutants movie had an animatic release or get leaked this week. I don't know how like. It's very much like the Deadpool test footage, but like more basic this week. And it shows that the character Demon Bear will be a villain in this movie. Yes. So I had to go look up who Demon Bear was because in this animatic, he looks like a big bear with glowy eyes.
Yeah, there's not necessarily any pomp or circumstance to the way the bear looks. It just looks like a big bear. Maybe it's possessed. Maybe that has to do with the demon eyes, or I don't really know what's going on with this bear. But the animatic is pretty hilarious because obviously animatics are not supposed to be crazy polished. And actually they're less polished when it comes to live action stuff. You actually get really more refined things when you're talking about like animated movies, just because they get the movie almost 90% of the way there with the animatic. So it's kind of funny seeing these characters that are stiffly drawn. They're not necessarily trying to get everything perfect. And then there's tent music in the background. Then you see those big old bears. It's more hilarious than anything else, but just kind of show you a glimpse of what could be happening in the movie.
Yeah, and even if he is like one of the main villains, like it's the demonically mutated parents of one of the characters in the film, Danny Moonstar, who I think I don't even know what her like superhero name would be. Mirage, I think is what she called herself. So it's very weird looking, but it's cool because you also get to see Wolfsbane, which I think they modeled after Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, because they're trying to get her to be that role. And the scene looks like it to be from the girl with the sword is actually Magic. I don't know if you're familiar with Magic in the comics. It's the younger sister of Colossus.
Oh, okay.
And she has the ability to go into this dimension called Limbo, where like there's like demons and stuff. And she has I think it's called a soul sword or a hell sword or something like that. But either way, it looks like this bear is crashing through a hospital because the character Moonstar or Danny Moonstar faced him in the comics and he messed her up real good. So this may be apart from that. They may be taking it from the comics exactly. We don't know anything about the Mutants except we've seen like the script. We're pretty sure it's on the radar for Fox. And the closest description we have this week now is a Stephen King meets John Hughes style horror movie.
And no one's afraid to say John Hughes anymore now that Spider-Man's been described as having a John Hughes vibe. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I think we're going to get more into the Fox stuff here in a second. But New Mutants, I guess it's a good thing to start hearing stuff coming out of Fox, just because who knows what's going to happen after Apocalypse, which surprisingly I saw quite a few people watching on the plane. That was one of the movies that you could watch. I was just like, you could be watching Civil War, people. Civil War was also an option on the plane. Why are you watching this X-Men movie? I would assume it's because they're stuck on a plane and they had watched Civil War already and were more curious. But
thankfully those airplane views don't count towards the ratings on the movies. But yeah, speaking of John Hughes, I actually watched one of his best movies, I think, is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's a movie about Thanksgiving. So I just don't think you want to use John Hughes followed by the word horror at all. So I don't know. We'll talk a little bit more about that here. Also, another fun fact: Civil War on Netflix on Christmas Day, Mike.
Ooh, that'll be exciting. That'll probably keep me from purchasing it because I've been wanting to get around to buy it digitally, but if I can just watch it for free on Netflix, I might just do that.
That's a quick turnaround. That Marvel, Netflix, Disney, whatever contract they have, you're getting your Marvel movies a little quicker, and wake up on Christmas Day and watch some Civil War. That's a good Christmas, Mike. That's what we wish for. It. So we got some Fox Studios news, and it can go either way. It can really go either way.
Yeah, I would think this is like the biggest news of the week, the headliner for sure.
So this week, I guess the movie Doctor Strange is out, so Kevin Feige's still out of his hole. He's still walking around looking for his shadow, making sure he doesn't see it or something. And he said this week that a partnership for the X-Men and Fantastic Four with Fox is an impossibility for Marvel Studios.
Whenever Kevin Feige speaks, we get very quiet and we pay attention and we analyze everything he says because what he says is like truth. It's like doctrine. You don't have to filter it through any sort of ladders up through executives. Like this is the man. He is at the top. He's speaking for the whole franchise. So if he is throwing out the word impossibility, like he means it. Like it's hard to imagine this any other way unless he is really, really trying to bring back surprises in the Marvel universe. And he's just like, get this, guys. I'm just going to tell him it's an impossibility. And then bam, we're going to hit him with an announcement of requiring mutants. I don't think that's going to happen since, like I said earlier, they're really doubling down on Inhumans. But yeah, the fact that he spoke and said this so directly, it's kind of a bummer a little bit, but it's nice to have some definitive answers.
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, this is where I have to explain to a lot of people I talk to. Marvel Studios is only movies. Marvel Entertainment is the television side. And they can operate independently without touching. Despite the fact, they say everything is connected, and they try their best to keep everything connected. The Daredevil or the Netflix shows reference the movies, the TV shows reference the movies, right? But just because Marvel Entertainment and TV are having deals with Fox doesn't necessarily mean that the Marvel Studios branch is having that same luck with the studio. Mm-hmm. So that's something we gotta I guess we keep in mind going forward of that. And
yeah, good point to make for sure.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it's sad to hear that they're not gonna work towards it, because I don't have any faith in Fox whatsoever. Even Deadpool 2 doesn't thrill me like it should, I guess. But the difference is whenever this came up and he said this impossibility, I went back and looked at what he said about SpiderMan years ago. Mm-hmm. And he didn't ever say Spider-Man was an impossibility. Mm-hmm. And I guess I don't know. I guess this seems more definitive when you compare what he said previously to this.
Yeah, it almost seems like it almost seems like when these executives from these different studios make these public statements, it seems almost like they're like giving coded messages to the other studios. So maybe Fox was just like, hey, we'll give you maybe these properties, but we want this ridiculous back end deal, or we want to share revenue that's like way more than Spider-Man. Maybe they didn't want the Spider-Man deal. Maybe they thought the X-Men were worth more than Spider-Man. So Kevin Feige was just like, screw this, I'm tired of messing around with these guys. I'm going to go ahead and just make a public announcement and say it's an impossibility. just have them deal with that. I mean, I think a Fox giving up the mutants or making a team up was a little bit more of a stretch than I guess Sony's deal was, because Sony really just had the one guy. They just had Spider-Man. And yeah, they did have Spider-Man's kind of universe, his little microcosm of Venom and his villains, but it really was literally just Spider-Man. That was their main, that was their money maker. That was their meal ticket when it came to the superhero universe. So it was easy to kind of deal over one character. But when you're coming down to like an entire class of mutants, you could have limitless characters in there, and then they had Fantastic Four too. It seems like Fox had more of an opportunity to do like a full reboot and maybe make something work. I just hope they get somebody else at the helm of it. Maybe they steal someone from Marvel Studios right now, like, hey, Kevin Feige's at the top of everything. He's not going anywhere. How about, instead of looking for a promotion over there, maybe come on over to Fox and help us with our mutants? That would be cool. And that seems to be the what has to happen. I mean, DC made a big deal about it, of kicking out all these old executives, bringing a new fresh talent to helm the universe. So maybe Fox will do that. I think that's going to be their best opportunity. Yeah,
we can at least hope so, because again, I mean, when Feige didn't said back, I think it was 2014 or 2013. He said that he doesn't think that Spider-Man or Fox would ever come to him, but it's not impossible. And then he uses the phrase impossible. It seems like something's happened, and it's not very good. Unless he's just leading us all on the goose chase, not getting our hopes up, because that would be the best announcement, to make. Like, oh, we got him. We got him.
Yeah.
But another thing that worries me, we're not going to get them, is Fox announced 2 new Marvel-based film dates.
Mm-hmm.
A little farther in the future than I wanted to see. They have nailed down November 2nd, 2018. So,
okay.
I guess, 2 years away. And February 14th, 2019. So, Valentine's Day 2019.
Yeah, those are kind of 2 telling dates. The February date makes me think possibly another... No, well, maybe it could be a Deadpool movie. Maybe that's not necessarily Deadpool, but maybe that's the team up with
the X-Force.
The X-Force, yeah, and that could make sense, where you go ahead and you film this stuff back to back, and you get Ryan Reynolds back in the studio with these other cast of characters, and you go ahead and a year later you throw up an X-Force movie. That could be a possibility. I have a feeling putting a movie in February means it's probably going to be rated R. It seems weird to put a PG-13 movie in that slot, because it seems like R is kind of dominating February now, which is great, right there on Valentine's Day. And then the November 2nd one, that doesn't seem... I don't know, it's a weird date. November's a really, really weird date, especially at the very beginning of November. I would think maybe more towards the middle of the month, kind of closer to that Thanksgiving Day release. You get a little bit of bump there, because people like to see movies on Thanksgiving weekend. So it's really hard to get any information from that date of November 2nd.
Well, so Doctor Strange, that's essentially the same weekend Doctor Strange opened this year for us.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said earlier, it's doing really well. But maybe it's a new property. November might be a kind of a test the waters kind of property range.
Yeah, maybe
for them. Because I don't think Marvel has a November of 2018. I think Marvel is done by summer of 2018.
You got to make room for Star Wars.
Yeah, and you got to leave a little room for Star Wars. But I think worst case scenario, maybe Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if they're shooting for a total reboot, maybe that's the place you put it. I mean, you don't necessarily put it back on center stage at the summer, because maybe people are like, wait, didn't we just see Fantastic Four during the summer the other year? So maybe putting it in a different season will kind of change people's mindsets a little bit, give them a chance to separate themselves from the other summer blockbuster movies. So I don't know, man. I'm crossing my fingers, because I'm starting to sour a little bit over on Fox.
Yep.
Luckily Deadpool's there, but we have been getting some concerning news coming out of there. So, and we know DC is hopefully on the rebound. We can see their future, and we can start to dream of the good things. That Wonder Woman trailer looks awesome. So now maybe things are starting to flip-flop over here. Fox was the first heavy hitter here in the superhero game, and they've just been falling ever since.
They're kind of floundering. So what worries me is that Fox also has 2 other dates already booked for the next couple of years. One with March 2nd, 2018, which we think might be the New Mutants film. And June 29th, 2018, which we think might be Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I mean, Deadpool obviously did really good earlier in the year, so maybe they think shifting it to summer would be better for it.
Very, very much so. I mean, it's a big movie. It got huge things. Maybe summer would do it some justice. Maybe get a little more money. I don't know. But that could backfire as well. But what we don't see any main X-Men franchise films. 2017 is only one movie, and it's, I think, I think it's gonna be a sleeper movie with Logan, to be honest. And they've got 4 other movies they've not said any titles about yet. So why are they not giving us these movie titles?
I think they're still fighting in meetings. They're probably having meetings like every single week about the possibility of their future with their franchises. So I think they're really circling and trying to craft what they're going to do with this rebooting their universe. Maybe how they're going to do it. There's a lot of questions to be answered.
Yeah, a lot of questions they're probably asking, the same ones we're asking.
Should we make this Gambit movie or not?
Yeah, should we just give it up? Let's just give it back to Marvel. Let's quit while we're ahead. So yeah. So there are a bunch of Fox dates on the horizon. We'll keep you posted. But as you can obviously tell by our voice, I put Fox lower than DC right now, Mike.
Ooh, yeah, I'm feeling the same way.
So,
all right, Fox, you've just been demoted.
you're the bottom of the barrel at this point. So
yeah.
Oh well.
Cue sound effect of like something changing, like.
Yeah, right. I'll work on that. Another thing Fox did this week, which is maybe some people might be concerning, but I think this is a great move. They moved Kingsman: The Golden Circle back, Mike.
Okay.
A month, or I guess a month or two, from June of 2017 to October 6, 2017.
Well, I guess go ahead and mark me as slightly concerned. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the first Kingsman was like a March release or like a February.
It was a Valentine's release.
Yeah, exactly. So Kingsman, I think it did well, and it was nice having that at the beginning of the year, kind of away from the summer spectacle, which it might have been done bad in the summer. It was a new property. It might have been overshadowed by really big movies that came out that year. I think maybe Ultron came out that same year when that came, so maybe that was a good idea. So, and then I guess it seemed like they moved it to the summer. They're like, hey, this property's been proven now. Let's move it up. But now they're moving it to October. October is just a really weird month for movies too, because it's not really in the summer anymore. You can't really count on those winter kind of blockbuster releases. It's just this weird limbo of a month, you know?
I definitely agree. It's not quite fall. It's not quite summer. What do you do at the beginning of October, really? Nothing. But in the June month prior, it was I think a week after Wonder Woman. And I think the same weekend or the week before The Mummy, which actually is garnering interest from people, not necessarily us, but The Mummy is considered a threat because of the Tom Cruise and the property, the IP associated with it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously we can say October, is an odd month, but we're concerned originally with movies coming out in February, like, oh, that's like a dumping ground. So maybe Fox, they're in last place now, like we just said. Maybe they're going to reinvent October for us, which I would think the only thing I've ever remembered being worth note in October off the top of my head are like scary movies, to capitalize on Halloween. So I don't know.
Well, this originally was a Marvel film Fox has slotted in. So they've given up one Marvel film slot for Kingsman. So I think that might show a little more faith than moving it back a couple months, I guess.
Yeah.
So
well, either way, I'm excited to see more Taron Egerton. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, and the expanded cast. I think it has oh man, Magic Mike.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum in it, yeah. So I'm excited to see more of that too. Another trailer we got this week, and we just watched for the first time today, is Cars 3 We got our first teaser trailer.
This trailer's hilarious, and I feel like the only reason it's hilarious is because it's so intense. You sent me a trailer after we watched it of redubbing it with the music from Logan, and kind of they made it black and white to fit the style of the trailer. Just seems really dramatic for a Pixar movie. But maybe that's a good call, just because I still have not gotten around to seeing that second Cars movie, just because everybody just kind of bashed it so much. So maybe they're just like, we got to separate ourselves from that second movie that everybody dogs on us for. And, even though the execs don't care because they probably made tons of money off of, toys and merchandising. So, I think the trailer gets me curious. That's for sure. There's very
not
telling.
the happy one that everyone was worried about.
There's definitely some very telling text at the end of the teaser that says everything changes after this moment. So I have no idea what's gonna happen, but we see Lightning McQueen, is that his name?
Yeah, Lightning McQueen. I mean, nobody was asking for Cars 3. Like that's the thing. So
I will stick up for the first Cars. I genuinely liked the first Cars movie. I think people will still kind of put that near the bottom of their Pixar movie list, but I liked the first one. I thought it was kind of clever seeing cars and kind of this human persona trying to control the world. It was silly. I didn't fall for the planes crap or Cars 2, so maybe Cars 3 will bring it all around.
Yeah, I mean, it very much. I mean, if Pixar is anything, I guess they're not scared to maybe go out a little differently or do something a little different. The animation looks great, I think. For Cars.
It is the first Pixar movies that has ever had something to prove, if you think about it. All of the other sequels of movies have come off of really, really well-received things. Like even the third Toy Story movie. I think Toy Story 2 was good. People love that movie. So all of these Pixar movies have come off of good things. This is the first time they're ever returning to something that did not go over well. It's not like they've made a Brave 2 and we've seen how that went. So even I'm not trying to bash Brave. I think it's just because it was like underperformed. So maybe they're just like, hey, we got something to prove here. We're not the biggest, baddest CG studio in the land anymore. We have competition out there. Let's make Cars 3 something unique.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I looked whenever this came out, I looked up the worst rated Pixar films. And Cars 2 is the lowest. Monsters University, then Brave, and then Cars. Are the bottom 4.
Yeah, Monsters probably would have been a better example of a poor sequel, because I did not like that sequel at all. But yeah, this will be kind of cool. Maybe they put a new crew together to work on Cars 3 and be like, hey, give us something that like makes people want to return to this franchise. We want to build more Cars themed theme parks, but we need a good movie to do it.
I hear the Cars the Cars ride in the California Land Adventure Park or whatever, California Adventure Park, is the best ride out there.
Well, I still have not been over to the California Adventure side of the park because it's a different ticket, and those tickets are hella expensive. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and come out and visit us, and we'll go to it.
Yeah, don't let my wife hear that. So yes, but that is also.
I'll speak a little louder so she can hear it.
Yeah. So Cars 3 is actually coming out June 15th, 2017, which would have been up against Kingsman as well. So I think that Kingsman moves is sounding better and better all the time.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Moving on, Pacific Rim Maelstrom, the sequel to Pacific Rim that is actually coming out, has our first look at John Boyega in the film. Boyega?
Yeah, I love this guy. He's so cool. He's so charismatic. If you haven't seen The Block yet, definitely go watch The Block.
Attack the Block.
Attack the Block. You can get more of him in that. Not much to go off of in this photo. The most, I guess not outlandish, but I guess the thing that stands out the most is he's wearing maybe some sort of gloves that kind of look a little futuristic. He's holding on to something. I don't know if it's like a communicator or like a thermos or something.
It looks kind of like he's like looking at something from a distance, and that might be like a binocular.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh, but his hair is so textured perfectly is fantastic.
Yeah, it kind of looks like when you would look at like a Bart Simpson toy, you know, because you're always kind of thrown off because you're seeing this 2D character in a 3D form, and that's kind of how the hair looks at when you look at the top, kind of with the divots.
Yeah.
So I don't know, this is cool. Yeah, I love John Boyega, and I love Pacific Rim 2 news because for a while there we thought we weren't getting this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you really like the first one, don't you? I mean,
oh yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites.
And it's shooting for 2018, so we'll keep you posted as more stuff that comes out. Alien Covenant, not really news for you, Mike, but the first poster is out, and the first poster is actually feeding off your nostalgia pretty hard for Alien movies. And it just says "Run, Black, the Xenomorph is coming out of the shadows, May 19th." This is probably the best piece of news coming out of this movie I've seen. Because it is essentially old Alien promotions. Because they took the Alien title this time, and they're using the Alien title. So, what do you think off the top of your head? Just quick glance. Any ideas?
I mean, it looks cool. I think this is just the way to tell the audience that we're bringing the classic Xenomorph that you're familiar with back. Just because we didn't really have that classic Xenomorph in Prometheus. But, you know, Prometheus at the same time didn't even have the Alien name attached to the title. So,
yeah.
We'll see. We all know I'm confused as hell about this Alien franchise.
It's very much. That's why I keep bringing it up. Lastly, bad news, Mike. The Ecto Cooler is being discontinued this December.
Oh, man. I would say that's bad news for you. You're the one that was buying crates on crates on crates of this.
Why is that? I've got a whole box I haven't even touched at my feet right now.
You're like, I'm good for a couple centuries.
I am going to be king of the Ecto Cooler come January. When people are like, "Oh man, I wish I would have got it." Well,
yeah,
you know a guy.
Don't get caught sleeping. Go ahead and buy your pallets while you still can.
Yeah, that's right. And don't pull a Scarface and drink your own supply. Like you got to hold that back. You got to ration yourself. Okay.
Oh man. All right.
So don't do that. All right. Well, that's it for the news this week, Mike. We hit a full show.
Yes, we did. It felt good to be back talking about superhero and all this awesome nerdy stuff. Yeah, I was kind of on radio silence there for a week, so it feels good to be back at it.
Yes, yeah. I wasn't gonna bother you either because I know those international data rates could be nightmarish if not monitored properly.
Oh yeah, I'll give one thing a plug real quick before we close out the show. My coworker recommended me this app called Maps.me, which is basically a map app on your smartphone that you can download maps onto. So if you're in an area where you think you're not going to have data or any sort of reception at all, you can just go ahead and download the map for the area. And it has like little tips in there of like monuments that you can see. So it's very geared towards travel. So it was a lifesaver when we were in Venice, because Venice is basically just a series of alleyways and corridors. There's no streets, hardly any street alley signs, I guess, to look at to tell you where you're going. So bam, I would just pop this thing open because GPS is free and it works everywhere you are. It doesn't require any sort of data connection. So yeah, I would just pull up that map that I already had downloaded, and I can navigate that city with ease. So Maps.me, if you're traveling anywhere internationally, maybe not even internationally, if you want to save maybe some battery on your phone, don't want to connect to the internet, Maps.me, super super helpful.
Yep, and I've just pulled it up. It's going to be in our show notes. It looks fantastic. Do you remember when like GPS devices and like the little boxes were hundreds and hundreds of dollars?
Oh man.
And like you couldn't update them for years, and man, we've come a long way. So.
Yeah, GPS just in itself is fascinating. I didn't really understand exactly how GPS functioned financially, just because every time I've ever used GPS, it was associated with a smartphone. So I thought maybe there was some sort of data connection there or something. But GPS is essentially free. It's kind of like a technology that was put out there that anyone can connect to and just build an entire business off of. So like, I think that's really, really cool. It's kind of like socialized technology. So maybe we'll get more of that stuff in the future. So I guess big ups to GPS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember I did some research on this because I worked on cell phones, and I think originally there was like 8 satellites like doing this in like the 1970s, like late 70s, 80s. And then they launched, I think maybe like there's like 32 up there maybe now. So the more future we get, the more GPS we'll have. So
Oh yeah, remember back in the day when a GPS device was like a weapon of mass destruction in one of those Bond movies? That was a Pierce Brosnan Bond movie, I believe.
Man, well, I remember, that's for sure. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for the show. Mike, I saw a picture of maybe you doing some sketching while you were in Italy. Were you inspired? I don't know. Will we see some of this artwork eventually down the road?
Yeah, I posted some of it up on my Instagram, and you can always check some of my work out at Mike Royer Design on Twitter and Instagram, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people always want to know what you're up to. You always got tons of stuff going on. You're telling me about these crazy theme parties that you're going to. You're going to Friendsgivings with people halfway having a baby.
That
right. Sounds very interesting. Where may people want to follow you for that?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Valdan, VALDAN. I share all my Instagram stuff from there too. My Instagram is, I think it's Valdan 1987. Numbers work. But I did put up a Christmas tree today, and I have all my superhero ornaments shared on there. So if you want to see what I got.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely check those out. You can read out my stuff on Comic UI or listen to my other podcast, Filmside Chats, as well. So there we go. And, people maybe listening to this for the first time from Italy, Mike, maybe they want to know where they can do more with our show. Where can they find that at?
Well, man, I would love that. But you can visit us at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all of the avenues that we host this show. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Tumblr, email. And this list is getting so long, we should just say wherever you listen to podcasts, because I think we're pretty much everywhere.
Just search for us on the internet.
Yeah, you can like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. If you're a fan of the show, please consider leaving us a review wherever you listen to the show. That's really helpful. Helps us find some new listeners through search engines and whatnot. And if you're a super fan of the show, just share the show with a friend. Share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, whether I'm here or not, because Chris will just replace me that easily. It makes me a little worried that I'm so replaceable.
I like to keep you on your toes. But, again, this is a couple days after Thanksgiving, but I just wanted to say to everyone listening, we are thankful for you. Without you, the show would be nothing, and we appreciate you guys just listening to us. So
yeah, stay tuned. 2 more weeks, and episode 100 will be a little bit of an anniversary.
Yes, we will most likely do a regular show for that, so be prepared.
Every week. Yeah. Consistency.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right, well, we'll see you guys later.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Well, now I've done my job and I asked, and